I just can't. I need you. I need y'all to see this.
But I was a little creeped out that everyone was talking about it.
I
He
need
was a
y'all to
teacher
see
after
this.
all. The next day during lunch, Macy ran over to me crying. She was panicking and could barely breathe. She told me she had been dared to go in and take a photo of Mr. Cliff while he was shirtless on her way out.
Wait, what?
She had dropped her phone and it had slid under her desk. She couldn't find it. Even worse, she had set the photo of him to her background. If he found it, she would be in huge trouble. I knew I had to go and
Is
get
it
her
just me or are these girls weirdly perverted? Like, this is a teacher. Hello?
phone for her after school. I snuck into his room. I dove under the desk to find it. As soon as I grabbed it, I heard footsteps coming towards the door.
Wait. That's not a footstep. That's a footprint.
I started to panic. Without thinking, I dove into the
kicking the
closet
door.
and closed the door behind me. What happened next changed my life forever.
Okay.
I watched through the slit in the closet as Mr. Cliff came inside,
God, why
and
does
my
it look
classmate
like a freaking
Tia
toddler?
walked in behind him.
What is this? Oh my god, his arm.
Mr. Cliff started running his hands through Tia's hair. He told her she was so mature for her age, and she was so different from anyone else.
Yeah, I'm gonna call
Then
the
he
cops.
kissed her.
Said one
I
comment.
couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was an adult.
I just now realized that this girl, for some reason, reminds me so much of the Progressive commercials. Y'all remember that?
And Tia was
I
only
remember
17.
it. Just now.
I felt like I was about to throw up. How could
So
he
what the
do
fuck
something
is
so
it? What is
terrible?
this?
I stood in the closet in
Basement? Oh,
shock
God.
as Tia and Mr. Cliff left to go to his house when he shut the door behind me. I realized I was locked in. I called Macy.
Oh,
She had
God, her
temporarily
legs.
borrowed her cousin's phone. So luckily I was able to ask her for help. She managed to go get the janitor to open the door. I came out of the room looking like I had seen a ghost. On the way home, I told Macy everything.
Oh my god.
I knew the next morning I would have to go to the principal's office and report what had happened.
Best story
But Macy
ever.
told me I
Like, it's
couldn't.
made in
She said
Adobe
Mr. Cliff
Flash.
was the
You know,
nicest
this
teacher
is-
at our
this is
school.
how you know when
If I
it's
got him
good.
fired, everyone would hate me. And besides, she said she is lucky he hit on her. I felt so sick hearing those words come out of Macy's mouth. I knew Tia was way too young, and Mr. Cliff was her superior.
I'm
So
just
everything
making fun
about
of the
this was
animation
wrong.
of the story,
But
'cause
honestly,
every
I
time
was
when
afraid to
you know,
speak up.
do my,
What if no one
videos
believed
with
me?
my voice,
All
it's really
night, all
hard
I could think about was him kissing
really hard to
Tia
hear
and
the
telling her
audio.
she was special. Maybe the whole school would hate me, but I couldn't sit back and let this happen. A few days later, after school, I hid in the closet again. If I could get evidence, then I would be more confident going to the principal. I braced myself. As I heard Mr. Cliff's footsteps coming down the hall, when he walked into the room, my jaw dropped to the floor. It wasn't Tia behind him. It was Macy. You're so
no,
mature for your
Macy.
age. You're so
Anything but
special,
Macy.
Mr.
Sorry,
Cliff said.
anyone but
I wanted to
Macy.
jump out of the closet and sink my claws into him. My best friend was standing there and
I can't. The animation is so fucking trash, and this girl reminds me so much of the Progressive.
in front of my own two
commercials.
eyes, being lied to by someone who was supposed to be keeping her safe and educate her. I couldn't bring myself to
Time had
record.
passed.
Instead, I sat at the bottom of the closet and waited for them to leave. Once I heard the door close behind them, I stepped out of the closet, only the room wasn't empty. Mr. Cliff stood in the corner, his eyes as big as saucers. I didn't know what to do, so I just froze. He told me I didn't see what I thought I saw. For a second, I considered just agreeing and walking off, but I knew I had to do what was right. I told him he was manipulating girls at our school, and that what he was doing was illegal. He said nothing, but he walked over and locked his door. I started making my way towards the window, my heart pounding. Was he going to hurt me? He told me
Now
that he
he's
cared
gonna,
for
like,
Macy.
sexually
If
assault
I
you
told
because
anyone
he's
what
that
had
much of a
happened, she
freaking
would be in
creep.
huge trouble. Her parents would be mad at her, and they might even make her transfer schools. As he was saying all this, my mind was racing. I didn't want to get Macy in trouble. She probably won't want to be friends with you anymore, Mr. Cliff said, and I won't want to be your teacher anymore. You'll have that mean old Mr. Baber. When those words came out of his mouth, I realized the truth. It wasn't about Macy getting in trouble. It was about him getting in trouble. He didn't care about my friendship or Macy's well-being. He only cared about being exposed and losing his job. I can't let you hurt my
care
friends.
about being exposed? That's a little bit weird, don't you think? Like, I don't know. If he only cares about getting exposed, he would have blatantly said that he was a pedophile. He would have actually done that, but he didn't, so...
I'm not going to let you manipulate me like you manipulated her, I yelled. Mr. Cliff started walking towards me, anger in his eyes. I threw open the window, exposed and losing his job. I can't
I
let
need
you
to
hurt
see
my
that
friends. I'm not going to
How do
let
you
you
say that again?
manipulate me like you manipulated her, I yelled. Mr. Cliff started walking towards me, anger in his eyes. I threw open the window and dove out, just as he was about to reach me. I ran home through the woods as fast as I could, tears in my eyes. When I got home, I collapsed at the kitchen table. I wanted to tell my parents, but I was terrified to. I was afraid they wouldn't believe me. I was afraid that he was right, and Macy would hate me. But I knew I had to do what was right. I started to
Yeah,
cry at the
tell
kitchen
my
table,
parents
and that's when
that-
my parents came in, asking me what was wrong. After
Why
a
does
few
the
minutes, I
mother
was
look
afraid
like
they
one
wouldn't
of those
believe me.
Famous YouTubers.
I was afraid that he was right, and Macy would hate me. But I knew I had to do what was right. I started to
I
cry.
don't know, my first thought was Jenna Marbles, but then again, she's gone from YouTube, so I shouldn't really make fun of her. I'm sorry if she's watching this.
The kitchen table, and that's when my parents
Jesus
came in,
Christ,
asking me what was wrong.
Sophie.
After a few minutes
Oh
of
my
fighting
God.
with myself, I broke down and told them everything. The police came moments later, and I made them promise that
Oh my
Macy wouldn't be in
God.
trouble. They promised that she would be just fine at school. The next morning, police officers led Mr. Cliff away in
He's gonna
handcuffs.
kill him.
I found Macy and
Oh my
confessed to her with
God.
tears in my eyes that I had told the police. I told her it was because I cared about her, but she was furious and stormed off. Within hours, the whole school knew I was behind this, and they hated me for it. I kept telling myself I had done the right thing, even though it didn't feel that way. As days passed, the truth started to come out. Mr. Cliff had been with a different girl almost every single day. He had told them all the same thing. He offered them kindness. He told them they were special, and then he took it.
And that's like what every manipulator would do, honestly. Like, I understand how the entire school dislikes you because of a person that actually manipulated each girl and they didn't know. Well, I mean, you did the right thing. I'm just gonna say that. They're just being an asshole.
Advantage of them. There were 50 girls who had been involved with him. Even crazier, Mr. Cliff wasn't his real name. His real name was Mr. Brown, and he was wanted in another state for doing the exact same thing. He had forged his papers and had been on the run for years. The crisis counselors made all the girls meet. They told us that a person in a position of power like a teacher, boss, or politician can't be in a relationship with someone they're in charge of. Mr. Cliff had lied to make all of us feel important. There is never a reason for a teacher to have a crush on a student. It's illegal and wrong. After a few meetings, Macy came to me with tears in her eyes. She thought she had meant something to Mr. Cliff. Teary-eyed, I told her she meant the world to me and that making sure she was safe was my top priority. We're fine now, and I'm so grateful to have my best friend back. Did you like this story?
No,
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
I already commented, bitch.